Well, I think the GDP numbers will come in precisely as the government expects, 7.5% to 8%, somewhere in there. I mean, they're going to be consistent with their plans. But what's worrisome to me are the export figures, which are starting to slow down significantly. And not only is that happening in China, but also in the rest of Asia. And exports back and forth between the rest of Asia and China are also starting to slow down, which tells me that manufacturing and industrial production are slowing down, but also consumption, right? And the government's making the big push in the consumption. So I expect over time, and perhaps not soon, we'll start to see, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll start to see a deceleration in GDP growth to another slower but more sustainable growth trend of perhaps 5 to 6%, which is quite good for the second largest economy in the world. No, you should take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, as a good investor, you should be skeptical and cynical. But let's face it, these are the cards the government deals us. These are the cards we play. So these are the numbers we have. But what's more important is to corroborate that GDP data with things you see on the ground: electricity production, exports, container throughput, things of that nature, tolls on the highways. And those numbers are all slowing down. I think we're all worried about it. We're only, investors globally and the sophisticated institutions are only concerned not necessarily about the kabuki theater, which is the Democrat and Republican arguments. What they're worried about is, can the Americans move towards more sustainable budgets? And I think the sequestration, which is the automatic cuts in this system, are doing the heavy lifting. And the surprise to everyone around the world is that sequestration is working, and that despite the bickering between the two parties in the US, the budget deficit has come down over the last 2 years, and by a significant margin. So that part of it, if it remains sacred and in the system, will be good news for investors who are concerned about the sustainability of US debt. I think we're getting used to the shenanigans from the politicians in the United States. This is our fourth bout of brinksmanship in less than 3 years, so we're becoming a nerd to that particular noise from Washington. More importantly, it adds, I think, to uncertainty. And investors do not like uncertainty. We don't like volatility, and we don't like to know what's happening with the United States. The good news of all this budget talk has been sequestration has worked. In other words, we've had 2 years of automatic budget cuts despite the wrangling on the Hill. And as a result of it, investors around the world are starting to become more positive about the sustainability of U.S. debt.